Did you miss the Trump trade? The insider group chat we were all invited to. Guys, I don't know if you saw this. There was a huge opportunity to make some money because the president front ran the president. He says on Truth Social at April 9th at 8:37 a.m. This is a great...
You want to hear something? You want to know what my liberal tinfoil hat blueing on conspiracy is? I think he leaked it so that his buddies that actually engaged in insider trading would not get hit with insider trading, so they could be like, what do you mean? We said it's a great time to buy. Some people listened.
Time to buy. Now, this is at all-time, at least in recent memory, lows for the stock market. The stock market's bottomed out, all because of the fears of tariffs that the president implemented. So he tweets this. You know, you're wondering, what is he talking about? Well, 3 hours later, we got this. Based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's markets, I hereby am raising the tariff to charge to China by the United States to 125% effective immediately, saying that he's going to pause for 90 days the rest of the world, sending the rest of the world skyrocketing. You know, these are U.S. markets here. The rest of the world is up as well. The markets have ripped, meaning if you listen to Trump, front-running Trump, you had a huge opportunity to buy. I mean, he told you it's a great time to buy, and he was right. I mean, obviously, he knew what was going to happen. Now, so that was the Trump trade, art of the deal. It's all part of the plan, mastermind, art of the deal. I will say, actually, there was a guy who knew before it, a guy who has been treated very unfairly, if I have to say so. That's Walter Bloomberg. I don't know if you guys know about this. There have been a lot of think pieces, a lot of news made about this guy because he, on Monday, said, Hasan, Trump is considering a 90-day pause in tariffs for all countries except for China. Now, as we know, that came true. But he said it on Monday that Trump was considering this. And the White House came out and said, no, this is fake news. This is not real. And as a result, a bunch of pieces got made about this guy, basically saying...
To be fair, no. No, that's not how this works. They absolutely misunderstood the reaction that the Trump admin had and immediately went along with it to be first to market.
Saying, hey, how fake news about tariffs on Elon Musk's X shifted trillions in the market. Anyone can really say anything on the internet and the people will just believe it. But was he wrong? I think ultimately he had the Trump trade before anyone else, that it was going to be paused. And actually, so I kind of feel bad for this guy. I had to make a little point to say he was redeemed. Now, he might be as surprised as anyone else. It's unclear whether even he realized that he was ultimately right. It's unclear whether maybe the White House saw the market moving in favor of that and just decided to go with that. But, I mean, it's exactly right. There's a 90-day pause on tariffs except for China. I will say, there are still...
No, he's not right. Tariffs still remain at 10% for everybody.
Still tariffs, though. There still are the 10% tariffs, and the 90-day pause, really, that's all it is. I mean, it's not clear. Some people are saying that tariffs are over. This is all just part of a move to save face. But it's not ultimately clear. What is clear is some are saying that this is the art of the deal. This is how it works, guys. This is all part of the plan. That you got tricked, you got fooled. If you were a panicking like me, you were proven wrong today.
Just add to what the secretary said. Many of you in the media clearly missed the art of the deal. You clearly failed to see what President Trump is doing here.
I failed.
You tried to say that the rest of the world would be moved closer to China when in fact we've seen the opposite effect.
That's right. Clearly I was a fool for believing what the White House was saying. I mean, this was all part of a 4D chess strategy. This is also said by Peter Navarro, who also kind of said this is one of the greatest days economically for America.
This is one of the greatest days in American economic history we have had. I think we're going to call it the art of the reciprocal trade deal. And I'll tell you, all the nervous Nellies on Wall Street who try to undermine us consistently underestimate the power of the president to negotiate.
That's right, you nervous Nellies. You should have been listening to the Truth Social. You should have been buying the dip like your president told you to. Now, ultimately, was this some great plan? Well, somebody asked the president, you know, basically, was this part of the art of the deal? Why did you ultimately remove the tariffs? Here's what the president said.
You started the morning saying be cool. And just a few hours later, there was a pause put in on the tariffs. Can you walk us through your thinking about why you decided to put a 90-day pause?
Well, I thought that people were...
Well, they weren't being cool. People were trading on treasury yields. They weren't being cool.
jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know? They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid, unlike these champions.
Now, wait a minute. That sounds a little different. That doesn't sound like the art of the deal. That sounds like you remove them because everyone was afraid, which is true. And that's a fine reason to remove them, but that's not the same reason as art of the deal, 10,000 IQ play. Anyway, the whole thing is bizarre, but I really wanted just to flag this weird era we are in where the president can front run his own announcements, like economically. If you could have paid for this as a group chat, you would. Like this private, imagine you had a private insight into what's going to happen in the future. Just the level of corruption is unreal. Now, some people say, well, you know, he gave it to everyone. So, you know, isn't that fine, I guess? And I can see your point, but the problem is nobody knew to take this seriously except for a few people. Unusual Whales notes that I think people knew of the tariff pause and traded it beforehand. You can see before Trump posted buy on Truth Social, traders opened QQQ and SPY calls right before the news. Someone opened SPY calls expiring today. Those calls are up 2,100% in the hour. So clearly some traders knew even before, and they opened up some calls before even the buy the, you know, basically buy the dip tweet from the president. At the same time, it is sort of also the perfect cover. Like if he says 3 hours before buy, no one knows what that means. It's kind of cryptic. And if you do have insider knowledge, you can just do it, buy a bunch, and then later you go, oh, I was just following, I just believed so much in the public, you know, Truth Social thing. It's really the perfect plausible deniability. There's no way of proving that you didn't see that and just do it. And for everyone else, you can say, well, you had the same access to the same information. Yeah, well, some people knew that the president was about to drop the tariffs. Some people didn't. If those people who knew traded on that information and then later say, oh, no, I just followed the public advice, how can you prove otherwise? That's the problem with making statements like this. It is an inherent conflict of interest because...
The only reason why I said... that this is liberal, like the only reason why I said my most liberal take on this is that it was like pre-designed to offer plausible deniability to insider trading. The only reason why I say that's a liberal take is because the liberal in me still has this assumption that the SEC would prosecute this sort of thing, like that they still have some semblance of regulatory power.
It can lay cover fire for people who were doing corrupt things, and there's just sort of no way of proving one way or the other. It's weird, and it makes me worry that we're entering a time where basically the insider edge is trying to speculate what the president means about the tweets to buy the dip on the market. It's like... it's actually so weird to be having presidential stock advice. That's kind of... It's so crazy. But yeah, weird times we live in. I just thought I'd cover this since it's one of the most economically impactful news of our year and preceded by a front run tweet.